All right, here we are. We're live and ready for Wellness Wednesday. I'm going to turn it over to Cheryl Morley.
Hi there, you guys. I'm super excited to be with you today. And gosh, Wellness Wednesday is always one of my favorite days of the week. And today, especially because we have a very special guest joining us today. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about him. He's got two wonderful kids. He has raced bikes for over 40 years. Now, wow, I cannot even believe that. Okay, but listen to something even cooler. He's won 8 world championships and 30 national championships. And he also rides on the U.S. Postal Masters team. Oh my gosh, like what has this guy not done? Not only that, but he's a doctor. So today with us here today is Dr. Winkel, and he's going to be talking to us about I26. So Dr. Winkel, hi and welcome.
Welcome, Cheryl. How are you?
Wonderful.
Good to see you all.
I just know I'm not going to be racing you on a bike. That's all I've learned so far.
That's okay. We'll go out in the tandem, the two of us. How's that sound? I'll take the front. We take a tandem out for a ride. That's a lot of fun.
Awesome.
I would love that.
Yeah, I agree. That'd be fun. A lot of fun.
Great. We know you have a great presentation for us today, so we're excited to hear from you. This is going to be probably the best interview ever. I've heard you speak before, and I was blown away by the knowledge that you have, and so excited to have you on today to hear all your wonderful things you have to share about us about gut health and being healthy and get into peak performance. Like, tell us how you won all those races, because I want to win those races too.
Well, it's good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah. So you want me to go from here then?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me go for a screen share. I call this presentation because I'm going to talk about the i26 primarily because it's a new product of sorts. Even though it's been around for a while, it's a new product. And a lot of people don't understand, number one, how it works or how they explain it to someone else. And so this presentation I call I26 in 15. It's the short presentation. It doesn't go into great depth, but it does cover the bases and gives you an understanding of how to talk about the product and how to gear your approach to talk to the product based upon what the person you're dealing with is dealing with, for example. So let me go ahead and do a screen share first. We'll start off with a screen share. And let's go share screens. And we're going to share that screen and say share. And then we're going to start the video. Let's see this one. In a second, what's it doing? There we go. Okay. Can you see the screen right there?
Yep.
Okay, good. So I call this I26 in 15. It's basically a quick presentation. Now, I'm going to start off with a quote. This is my own personal quote. You're welcome to use it. And I say that I26 is the most important development in nutritional science since the discovery of antibiotics. It is really that important. Okay, it's that big. A lot of people haven't heard about it. And so people will say, if it's so important, how come I haven't heard about it? Well, you're going to hear about it right now. I've been working with this product now for about 20 years. So I've seen the gamut of how well it works in almost every possible way. And that's why I'm so impressed by what it can do. So the first thing is that let's describe it from a different perspective. Let's ask the question, okay, what is I26? Now, the first thing is the I in I26, that stands for the word immune. It's short for the word immune. It's not like an iPhone or an iPad. It's I for immune. And the reason why we made an I instead of the word, it used to be, the product was called Immune 26 in the beginning, but in certain countries, there were restrictions on the use of the word immune in a product. So they shortened it to I. So now it's called I26. So like I said, it's not an iPhone, it's not an iPad, but it is I26. The technical name for the actual technology is called Hyperimmune, same word, hyperimmune egg technology. And so by describing I26, you have to say what it is not first, because first of all, it's not a vitamin or a mineral. And this is really important to understand because it works so differently. So it's in a different category altogether. It's also not an herbal or a homeopathic. And that's important because people talk about herbals, about homeopathic products. It's neither of those. And it's neither a mushroom or an adaptogen. The best way to describe what I26 is, and probably the easiest way to describe it, is the term functional food. And I'm going to describe what that means. We'll start off with this slide. You've probably seen it many times before. And I tell people that supplements are absolutely necessary if you eat the standard American diet. Okay? So you've probably seen this slide. So let me describe how this is a supplement of sorts, but it's a functional food. So the question is, what does it mean when you say functional food? So it's basically an ordinary food. This is an egg, and it has components or ingredients which give it a specific medical or physiological benefit in addition to a purely nutritional benefit. Okay, so it's really a food, and this is good because I had experience once where I was trying to explain to a neurological doctor for a friend of mine to take the product in the hospital while I was in the hospital. And the problem is that that's hard to do sometimes. Doctors won't allow that. And I said, look, it's egg product, it's egg powder. And he went, great, let's do it. And so I got this product into Jeff here because it was a food. It wasn't like a supplement of any sort. It's an egg, powdered egg, I tell him, and it worked just fine. So functional food. Now let's describe, because we're talking about the eye, let's talk about the immune system. And the first question is, what is the immune system? I'm going to describe it in a way that makes sense to you. The immune system is a complex set of molecules, antibodies, and cells. Okay, so molecules, antibodies, and cells that work together, interacting with, get this, the nervous system, the endocrine system, to fight infection, to control inflammation, and to protect us from hazardous influence, whether outside the body or from within the body. So it covers lots of bases, but very important to human health. So I'm going to talk about the immune system from the perspective of balance. Try this sometime, standing on a rock. It's not easy. So balance, and you notice on the one side it says overactive, on the other side it says underactive. Now, an immune system must be in balance because if it's overactive, it has to control inflammation. And if it's underactive, it has to fight infection. And the problem is that, and you probably know some of these terms, because if you have an overactive immune system, you might have heard about autoimmune disease or allergies, or perhaps you've heard this term recently, the cytokine storm. Okay, so we know an overactive immune system has to control inflammation, but it has to turn that inflammation off to function properly. Now, on the flip side, there's an underactive immune system, and an underactive immune system that can't fight infection means you're going to have problems with bacteria, viruses, with infection and healing process, and perhaps with cancer, which happens from within the body. So understand the immune system must be in balance. Now, I'm going to talk about a completely different system, which may seem a little bit off topic, but it actually is very relevant. I'm going to talk about the gastrointestinal system. And if you understand this system, it makes sense on why it relates to the immune system. Now, the GI tract is where you absorb all the nutrients from your food. And it's, as I say, it's a dark, a warm, and a moist environment that's about 23 feet long. Now, imagine a 23-foot long tube that has a dark, warm, moist environment full of all kinds of goodies, like the food you eat. And you can imagine what grows in there. Yeah, lots of bacteria. In fact, so many bacteria that 3 to 5 pounds of your body weight, think about that. Take a 5-pound weight and hold it up and realize there's that much weight in bacteria living inside your body. And it might give you the hijibijis, but we call that the microbiome, and it's very, very important to human health. Okay, so now the immune system will devote 70%, more than half of its resources, to protect you from intestinal pathogens inside your GI tract. That's a tremendous amount of resources being directed at the GI tract. Now, if you have intestinal pathogens, these are not the good bacteria, these are the bad bacteria, the intestinal pathogens. These pathogens cause inflammation in the GI tract, and that inflammation spills outside the body, throughout the body, to create inflammation throughout the whole body. And that's reflected by what's called a CRP score that's increased. And I've seen CRP scores above 12. It's supposed to be below 1. So the bottom line is very simple. If you have intestinal pathogens, you have inflammation in your body. End of story. If you remove these pathogens, you will reduce the inflammation. So that's the simple part. Now, let's talk about inflammation by itself and ask the question, well, why is inflammation so important? Well, I'll tell you why. Because the 10 leading causes of death, 9 out of the top 10 are related to inflammation. Look at this: heart disease, or more than 500,000 deaths; cancer, more than 500,000 deaths; stroke, chronic lower respiratory disease. Accents is not related to inflammation, but who knows, it might be. Diabetes, influenza, pneumonia, Alzheimer's disease, septicemia, nephritis. All these diseases, these are the top leading cause of death in the US population, and 9 out of 10 are related to inflammation. So inflammation is really very, very important if you can't control it. Now, the i26, we talked about these pathogens, is specifically designed to remove intestinal pathogens. And in fact, you'll see a bunch of ones appearing on the board there. You'll see Klebsiella, Streptococcus simulans. I can't pronounce half these names. Shigella dysentery, Salmonella, Streptococcus. You've seen E. coli before. So basically, these are just a few of the intestinal pathogens that I26 removes. And the term is called I26 is called I26 because it actually has antibodies against 26 pathogens. So what is actually happening is that we basically, when you eat the egg, the I26 egg, it contains antibodies specifically directed against 26 pathogens, and that's how it works so effectively. It's targeted directly at, it's information that destroys pathogens. So I have to talk about the term hyperimmunity, because remember the product is called Hyperimmune Egg Technology. So the question is, what is hyperimmunity and how do you get it? It's very, very simple, actually. In fact, today, you're probably very familiar with the term vaccination, because those who are getting vaccinated for the coronavirus, basically what that does, it basically hyperimmunizes your immune system. So if you do get the coronavirus, it will respond quicker. Now, in this case, it's slightly different. What we've done here is a little different. We're going to vaccinate a chicken against 26 inactive human enteric pathogens. That's all it is. The chicken mounts an immune response against the pathogens. They're inactive, so the chicken doesn't get sick, but it still mounts an immune response. And the chicken will make pathogen-specific antibodies, or what are called IgY antibodies, against intestinal pathogens in our GI tract. And these IgY antibodies are highly concentrated, 20-fold concentrated in the egg. And when we eat eggs, these IgY antibodies will remove those specific intestinal pathogens from our GI tract. If you think about it, it's actually quite fascinating how well this works. So let's talk about this term, because you've heard the term the good versus the bad bacteria, right? And if you're watching TV anytime, you'll see ads for different types of yogurts and things, or kefir, for example, that contain the good bacteria. So let's do a little fun model about good versus bad bacteria. Let's say that you have a GI tract that is full of bad bacteria, and you have an inflammatory condition, whatever it may be. And you're thinking, well, I saw on TV that if I take Activia or take this yogurt or this kefir or kimchi, I'm going to add back good bacteria and I'll have a healthy gut. Okay, let's try that. So let's add some good bacteria in the midst of those bad bacteria. And what happens next? Well, watch closely. The bad bacteria will destroy the good bacteria. Think about that for a minute. That makes sense, doesn't it? So actually, while it might confer some benefit, the benefit isn't as good as it could possibly be. So let's do something else instead. Let's add the I26 first. And let's remove the bad bacteria first. So let's wipe them off the screen. And now the bad bacteria are removed, which will tone down the inflammatory response in the GI tract. And now let's add back some good bacteria where they can grow and prosper and recolonize, so you have a healthy microbiome. Now, the timing's not that critical. You can take them together. The idea is that remove the pathogens, add the good bacteria is better than just adding good bacteria. And anytime I tell people that take I26, I tell, make sure you take a probiotic with it. And that's the reason why the Ultimate Microbiome contains probiotics and I26. It works better together. So now, if you do this, you take the I26 and probiotics, you're going to lower the overall inflammation, and you're going to reduce the load on the immune system. Very, very important. Okay, now let's talk about something else, because in most of the models you see for the I26, this is the way you see it described for most people. I'm going to now tell you about something else that we know about, we don't talk much about because it's more complicated, but it makes sense, and you're going to see how it specifically relates to what's going on here. I'm going to talk about a term I call this systemic messengers. Okay, now what the heck am I talking about? Well, these are messengers for different systems, hence systemic messengers. Simple, right? Okay, the nervous system, or the brain and the nervous system, uses specific messengers, and you probably know what they're called. They're called neurotransmitters. You probably heard of serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine, noradrenergic, things, gabapentin, things of that sort. These are all neurotransmitters. That's how your brain, that's how you think with the neurotransmitters. Now, those of you who are women who probably know about the endocrine system, you know what controls your body sometimes. It's called the hormones. And I'll tell you honestly, they really do affect your body, depending on what's going on with your hormones. Men have hormones also, but we're not as basically tuned into them as women are. So these are the brain, neurotransmitters, endocrine system, and hormones. Well, the immune system has its own set of messengers, and these are called cytokines. And the cytokines control or regulate the activity of the immune system. Now, we've shown in research that the i26 product can specifically regulate immune activity. And we found a particular protein present in the hyperimmune egg product we called cytokine activating factor. And the way this works is that if your immune system is functioning at a subpar level, cytokine activating factor will specifically enhance activity by activating cytokines to increase activity. Okay. We also found another factor, which we called cytokine inhibiting factor. And this factor will specifically suppress immune activity if it's overactive by inhibiting specific cytokines. So what you have here is a control system. One can upregulate and one can downregulate. And by adding the hyperimmune egg to your basically your food supply, essentially, or eating it, or taking it, you're going to have a way of balancing your immune system directly. So the cytokine activating factor and the cytokine inhibiting factor, they work together to balance the function of the immune system. So you remember this slide I showed earlier with overactive versus inactive? So on the left-hand side, you see the overactive immune system. The cytokine inhibiting factor can control and turn that down. On the flip side, if you have an underactive immune system, cytokine activating factor will activate it and give it basically better function. It's going to be more reactive, essentially. Now, there's a couple, not a couple, but a lot of health benefits that I've observed over the last 20 years. We know because it directly impacts intestinal pathogens that it's going to increase the overall health of your digestive tract. We know because of how it works with cytokine activating and cytokine inhibiting factor that it's going to strengthen and balance the immune system or provide immune system support. We know for how it functions that it also normalizes endocrine activity, can control the activity of hormones. We've also shown in research, now this is important how we say this because it helps maintain normal cholesterol levels. Now, mind you, it's an egg product, so people are sometimes concerned that it might raise cholesterol. But that's a whole nother story about cholesterol levels. I don't want to go there. That's a whole nother topic. But what I can tell you is this: it will maintain normal cholesterol levels. The actual research showed that in an environment where cholesterol levels normally increase, it maintained normal levels. We cannot say it lowers cholesterol levels because if we did, it then becomes a drug and it's regulated by the FDA. So it maintains normal cholesterol. That's what we do say. We have shown that it lowers the overall risk of inflammatory conditions. We've seen from research that it maintains flexible and healthy joints. You'll see on the label, there's 6 actual claims on the label here. That's one of them. We've seen neurological benefits on mood and well-being. And because it actually changes the intestinal flora, it's been beneficial for weight loss. And now for me as an athlete, I love this part because we did the research ourselves. We showed that it enhances athletic performance, greater endurance, more strength, and faster recovery. And I can tell you, this is quite a powerful technique. And this is the reason why I tell people that every man, woman, and child and pet should be taking i26 daily to balance and support their immune, endocrine, nervous, joint, cardiovascular, and gastrointestinal systems. Have I missed any? I don't think so. So basically, it eliminates specific intestinal pathogens in the GI tract, which will lower overall inflammation. It will reduce the load on the immune system, allowing it to redirect resources towards infection and healing. And it will normalize cytokine activity with specific factors, cytokine activating factor and cytokine inhibiting factor. So you can see what it does. So I always pause here. That's about 16 minutes. That's a little bit over, but here's the time when I want it. If you have questions, if you need to ask questions, this is the time to go. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the slide here.
Super.
Figure out how to do that. There we go. Okay.
Oh, we just got
it. And let's go stop the share.
Yep.
All right.
That
Very
was
good.
That was unbelievable. That was so great. I mean, I'm here taking notes while you're speaking. It's just fantastic. Now, we want to hear a little of your story because I love, your story. I've heard it before, and really kind of work in kind of the dosing on that, the do's and don'ts. I know you don't want to put this in anything hot. You want to keep it in mix it with cooler liquids and kind of like a schedule that you recommend to people on dosing and how to take it properly.
Yes, that's good. I'm glad you asked the question about dosing because the label says, 1 scoop a day. And what we've discovered over the last 20 years is that basically 1 scoop works, but somewhere between 1 and 2 scoops is an optimal dose for most people. And this is really important because, see, some people have underactive immune systems and some have overactive immune systems. And then when they take the product, it's going to work in different ways. And a person has like an overactive immune system, it's going to tone it down. If it's overactive, it's going to kind of build it up a bit. And so sometimes the responses the person gets are quite different. And so I tell people to start with 1 scoop and go about 3 to 5 days. And then what they do, they ask themselves the question after 3 to 5 days, how do I feel? Now, there are 3 responses. There are 3 answers to that question. The first answer will be, I feel nothing at all. And the most common, actually, people, I don't notice anything at all. I said, great. Okay. Then what I have them do, increase the dose like by half a serving or maybe even to 2 scoops. So you might go from 1 scoop to 1.5 or 1 scoop to 2 scoops. And then I have them ask the question again. Now, on the other hand, some people will tell me, oh man, I feel fantastic. I just have so much energy. I'm sleeping well. And I go, great, stay on 1 serving. Now, some people actually get worse. They have their joints start to hurt. Oh man, I feel tired all the time. I feel like I have the flu. I feel like I got run over by a Mack truck. Okay. Now, what happens is that when you activate some people's immune system, it's like they got the flu. It's like the immune system activates if they get the flu in the same way they feel like they have the flu. I tell them, okay, knock it down to half a serving and then go 3 to 5 days and ask the same question, how do I feel? And so the person who didn't feel anything at all and went to 2 servings, after 3 to 5 days, they ask the question, oh, I feel fantastic. Then they'll stay at 2 servings. And so I've been at 2 servings now for 20 years. I haven't had to increase past 2 servings. Now, if I feel a cold coming on, I will double my dose to 4 for about 2 or 3 days, goes away. If I get an injury or if something happens and I crash, something like that happens, I'll double the dose for about a week. So basically, anytime I want extra protection, I just double the dose from where I'm at. Some people run on half a serving a day. Some run on 1 serving. Some run on 1.5. Some on 2. I have some folks that run 3 to 5 servings a day. They're dealing with something specific like cancer or something or an infection. They'll double their dose to like 2 or 3 times a dose.
Okay.
And I have many, many stories from that side of things. So that's why I tell people, because it's important to get the proper dose, not to have too much and not to have too little. But I can tell you that 1 serving a day may take longer to see an effect. And I like people to see within a couple of weeks, notice the benefits. So they realize they know why they're taking the product. They can feel the difference. Like I know if I forget, don't we all sometimes forget to take our products? And I know I'll forget some days. And I notice at about 10:30 at night, I'm working on my computer and I'm literally falling asleep. I'm like, why am I so tired? I forgot my product. So I see on a regular daily basis, if I don't have my product, I notice it. If I go for a bike ride, I'm a little bit off. I go, oh, I didn't take my product today. So I see it every day. I don't take the product, I'll know it. And that's important for a person to know when they're using a product that they can feel the benefit.
Yeah. So is this something you take first thing in the morning or on an empty stomach with food?
Well, I take with everything at once because I've discovered that if I don't take it at a certain time of the day, I just get so busy in my day, I completely forget. And I'm off doing something else. And I go, oh my God, if I got to take it, and I can't take it before I ride because I got to digest it. So I normally take it in the morning time, about 9 or 10 in the morning. And I take my 2 servings, and I put it in my shake with all my stuff and all my supplements. I'm just like,
sure.
And I'm done. Yeah. Because after I eat my supplements, I'm not hungry for a while.
Of course. Yeah.
So, yeah.
So it's okay to take it on an empty stomach. You don't necessarily have to have food with it.
That's correct. In fact, that's a good point because if you take it with food, what happens is that it mutes the effect. You don't feel it. If you take it on an empty stomach, you will feel the effect more readily. I've had people walk into my office and I'll give them a serving and they'll take it and they'll go, wow. And they'll feel it instantly. They'll feel an effect instantly. In fact, I had one situation. This guy was Ronaldo Bolentini. I was coaching a little, he was 19-year-old kid. And we were doing this race called the Lighthouse Criterium. And it's a really tough criterium. He was racing with Cat 1-2, the top level. And he would never ride at the front. He was always at the back, hanging off for dear life. And he wasn't doing very well. And his dad said, I was coaching him. So I just finished my race, my master's race. And I had it was a triple serving of my chocolate version of my shake ready to go for me, for my recovery drink. And Ronaldo says, what's that? I go, it's my recovery drink. Can I taste it? I go, here, have some. He goes, He downed the whole thing, and it's made with milk. It's not a recovery protein. It was not a pre-race drink. He downed the whole thing. And I was like, that's not going to go well.
No.
So we're watching the race, his dad and I, Alex Bolentini. And every lap we come up the hill into a headwind, Ronaldo is towing the Pro 1-2 field. And after 2 laps, his dad goes, "What's with Ronaldo?" I go, "I have no idea." And he towed the field lap after lap after lap. I'm like, "What are you doing? Get off the front. Get back in the field." I'll never forget this. I took pictures. Here's Ronaldo, and here's this wave of riders behind him, and he's just towing him into a headwind. He gets after the race. He goes, "What was in that drink?" I go, "You mean my recovery drink that you just sucked down?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, "Well, it was my i26." He goes, "Man, I felt so strong." I go, "Yeah, it showed."
Yeah.
So there was an example of, in the same time frame, he showed a difference right then and there. It was like 15 minutes before the race started, and it was dramatic how well he did.
Wow.
So
what a great story that is. That's so cool.
It's a fun story. I still have the pictures of him. I should show the picture of Ronaldo towing the whole field.
Yeah. That'd be a great picture to put on social media there. So what a great story. So what do you mix it in? Do you just mix it? You said you shake or some kind of shake, or what is popular out there that you've seen people mix?
I think it goes best in orange juice. That's my personal preference. And if you remember, there was a drink back some years ago, many years ago, called Orange Julius. Remember that?
Yeah.
It was kind of like a foamy type stuff. That was actually egg in orange juice. So when you mix it up, it gets like an Orange Julius. It gets kind of foamy. And so I have a blender that blends without oxygen. It sucks the air out and it blends in a vacuum. It doesn't get so foamy. So it's just easier to drink. But basically, I used to mix in orange juice, but then I kind of went keto. And then with too much sugar in the orange juice, so I just went with the now the name's going to escape me. What's the hello? It should be right in front of me, but it's actually in my kitchen. It's my I can't think it's my longevity drink. My
BTT.
No. What the peach thing? Peach,
yeah, BTT.
BTT. Yeah.
BTT.
So I put 2 scoops of BTT in water. And I add my collagen complex, and I add my 2 scoops of this, and I add my cardio beats, and I shake it up, and I take my supplements, and I go suck them all down.
Well, you got one great cocktail right there.
That's right.
It's got everything in it.
That does sound awesome. So I have a question, Dr. Winkel. So for kids,
yes,
have you seen a big difference? You probably have in doing it this long. I'll tell you, but a lot of the moms that I'm speaking to these days, like their kids have stomach problems. Like they have, like their stomachs hurt so bad. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And what do you suggest kids take it in? Okay.
For kids, well, there was a product that was out that's no longer available. It was called Complete Support. And it was a wonderful chocolate drink. And you mix it in milk. You can mix it in water too, but it just tasted phenomenal. It was the best chocolate shake there ever was. Kids would not know it was in it. And so every morning they had their chocolate shake and they'd go to school and feel fantastic. Now, I'll tell a funny story. This gal I was dating and Becky, Becky, I was dating this gal, Barbara, who was an identical twin to Becky. And Becky had 2 kids and they were getting sick all the time. So we got Becky's kids on the i26 and they never got sick anymore. And then I heard from Becky one time because I would call Barbara and I'd get Becky and I wouldn't know it was her. And we'd talk for like an hour and I realized, is this Barbara or Becky? Anyway, so they always play a joke with me all the time. So what happened was her kids were complaining. They go, "Mom, we never get to stay home from school anymore because we never get sick anymore." So it works wonders for kids. I mean, kids just don't get sick anymore. That's the bottom line. I mean, especially, and parents, who was it? Don Kaufman. His kids were getting sick all the time and making him sick. So I got him on the i26. Now he doesn't get sick and his kids don't get sick. So everyone's healthier, and that's just the way it should be. That's why I say every man, woman, and child. Now for kids, it is going to be dose dependent. So a full scoop, I've had 1-year-olds and younger than that on half scoops, quarter scoops. I've had, 2-year-olds, 5-year-olds. I usually start with kids on a half scoop, like 5-year-olds can go on a full scoop or more. And then obviously 15 teenagers can go on 2 scoops if necessary. But pretty much, I mean, it's cost effective because it's not that expensive for kids. It's on a half scoop, it's quite good. So, yeah.
That's awesome. I know that it's been such a interesting, I've been doing this a little while now, helping people with their health and stuff. And I just find it so fascinating that it just seemed like all of a sudden in the last 6 months or so, it's just been crazy with gut issues for kids, and it's like, oh, so.
Yeah. Oh, I know Angelica did unbelievable on it when she was having those stomach problems.
Yes,
Yeah.
she loved it. And I really love it. I mean, it's the only thing that I found that really made a huge difference with my gut. Like, and it's exactly what you said. Like, you can really feel it. And I cannot believe it. And it's not necessarily that I can feel it anymore because I already feel fantastic. But if I don't take it, stop it.
Yeah.
I can really feel a difference.
I also love that the microbiome, you're talking about the ultimate microbiome. It seems like we took like every product we have and poured it into one jar and just made the ultimate gut product there. So with the i26 in there, and like you said, having the probiotics mixed in with it with a whole bunch of other great things, I feel just like a machine on that product.
Now, there is something I must quantify, is that we discovered that it's more effective when you add probiotics. And so the dose of the i26 in the ultimate microbiome is actually half the dose. So essentially, people that need to have like a 2-serving dose have to take additional i26 with their ultimate microbiome. That's something to note, because you can get the benefit because it amplifies the effect with the use of the mushrooms and everything else in the ultimate microbiome. It amplifies the effect. But for people that have specific conditions, they want that cytokine activating factor, the cytokine inhibiting factor, they've got to add additional i26 to get the best benefit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So fantastic. Shirley, do you have any other questions?
No, I'm just grateful to you, Dr. Winkel, because this product is incredible. And it's so interesting because it's like I have been taking it myself, but I never remembered before we met you, like anything that I could really give to people to help with their gut. And I'm so grateful because it's always something that I struggled with. Right.
Yeah,
and that I've heard so many people struggling with. So thank
Well,
you so much.
And last week we had interviewed Dr. Conaway, who did an entire
great.
gut protocol, a 20-day gut protocol. And she just, I don't know if your ears were ringing last Wednesday, but around this time, but she was just going on and on about you and the product that, just working on people's guts for her entire career, 30, 40 years. And to have this product show up, it's the best product that she's ever seen in her whole life. Because we knew to give people probiotics and try to help them, obviously get them off of sugar and gluten and things that were causing problems in the first place with their gut. But we never knew how to fix the gut, and to really get something in there to, as your PowerPoint pointed out, to kill the bad bacteria. Yeah. And this is the first product, and I don't even know any other product in the world that does what this does. So it is, we feel so blessed to have this here and have you here and be able to offer this to the world, because we're at a time right now that the immune system is pretty high on people's list of important things.
There was interesting research that came out, and it showed that the coronavirus is having more an effect in first world nations and not the same effect in third world nations. And you think about this, that also relates to the fact that in first world nations, we tend to have issues with autoimmune disease and overactive immune response that doesn't tone down. And that's partly diet related, and also the fact that people don't realize that when you're exposed to lots of pathogens, like in third world countries, you develop a different kind of immune response. We live in an environment that is basically, we're so, clean hands and we're always spraying. Even right now with this coronavirus, we're always like, you go into a store and they have the hand cleaner, always sanitizing your hands. There's no bacteria around. Our immune systems are used to having lots of bacteria around. We now live in environments that is septic. There's no bacteria for them to respond to. So what it does instead, it responds to its own body. It starts to find things to go up and fight up against, essentially. It's kind of like an army ready to attack pathogens, and there's no pathogens here. So what's happening, we have overactive immune response in the US. And in fact, a lot of if you look at the data from the people that have died of the coronavirus, okay, that are younger, in their 20s or 30s or 40s, they're overweight, which means they have inflammatory conditions. They have an autoimmune disease or atopic conditions. They have something that predisposes them in some way so that the cytokine storm takes over and causes damage to the rest of the body. And I've been studying this coronavirus in such depth and understanding that if we have a healthy immune response that can be fully balanced, it's going to make a whopping difference whether or not we survive something like this virus. So.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, I don't want to stop because I have another question.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Okay, so here's my question. So, it's true that we're not supposed to take this at the same time as we're eating regular eggs? Is that right?
Yes. Well, yes and no. Let me explain it this way. Let's say, okay, 1 serving of i26 is the equivalent of 1/3 of an egg. Okay, so 3 servings equals 1 egg. Okay, so understand that ratio. Now let's say I have eggs for breakfast and I have a 2 egg or a 3 egg omelet. Okay, I have basically let's say I have 3 eggs over here and 1/3 of an egg over here. So there's approximately now 3 to 1. So that's almost 9 to 1 times egg protein and 1 time of hyperimmune egg protein. And so what essentially, it dilutes the effectiveness of the antibodies inside the egg. I mean, all eggs, no matter what kind of chicken egg you have, has antibodies. The antibodies are directed against chicken diseases because they're chickens. These hyperimmune eggs are directed against human pathogens. So when you eat the egg product, you're thinking about there's 9 times as many just antibodies running around for everything else, and they're going to kind of get in the way. So if you have an empty stomach and you just have the hyperimmune egg by itself, there's just the ones, it can go after the pathogens and get the pathogens, take care of them.
Okay, awesome.
That's why I tell people it works better if you just take it on an empty stomach or without food or egg products.
Okay, awesome. One more question, because I just thought of my friend who has a son who is allergic to eggs.
Yes.
That was my question. You just took it from me.
Aha!
Okay. Well, again, an overactive immune response will respond to environmental or food sources, whether it be wheat or gluten or whether it be eggs. So the first thing is to identify how severe is the allergy. Because normally when you eat egg products, you're eating more than 1 egg, if it's eggs by itself. We're talking about 1/3 of a serving. So the first thing is to test the allergy itself. How bad is their allergy? For example, some people take the egg product, put it in their tongue, and their tongue swells. That's a very severe allergy. Okay. Other people can eat like 1 egg and I'm okay, a little upset stomach, but anything more than that, they get sick. This is 1/3 of a serving. Now, if a person has like that kind of allergy, it's very mild, they can start on 1/2 a serving. And what happens is that as they take that 1/2 a serving for a while, it starts to normalize immune activity and tone down the response to eggs. And eventually they can start to eat more egg products and other products in that same category. Now, a person that has a severe allergy, I know one example of a person that did this. He would start off with the product and put it on his tongue, and it irritated his tongue, and he kept doing it again and again and again. Over time, he was building up to like 1/4 serving and then 1/2 servings and full servings, and all his allergies are gone. His gluten allergy, his milk allergy, his egg allergies, they're all gone. So, and I have people with cat allergies and dog allergies, and they go away as well too. So,
seriously?
yes, absolutely.
This is with all allergies.
All allergies.
Oh, I have to tell my sister.
Yeah. There's still some response, because remember, you've developed an immune response against an allergen, but it tones down the response, which is the key thing, is that it's not quite as bad. So, I mean, the cat allergies issue, the dog allergies issue, I worked with mice over the years in the lab, and I developed a mouse allergy, so that, I don't know, I don't work with mice anymore, but still, I used to have parrots, and I don't have feather allergies anymore. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
So I had my son take this, and not for any, and I had him take it because I thought he had a gut issue because he had these allergies. Well, that was it. That's why it worked so fantastic. I mean, he didn't have any after he was on that for a little while, but I don't think I made that connection. I just thought, well, we have to get your gut healthy so you don't have allergies. But thank you for explaining that, because that's
Well, the key thing is people do this, and I see it all the time, because it's so powerful that they have a situation. Let's say it might be cancer, it might be a viral infection, and they take the product for that period of time to get over it, and then they stop taking it. And I'm like, why do you stop taking it? And they go, well, because it's, the doctor said I'm clean of cancer. I go, but you have an immune system problem. You've got to stay on the program. You just had chemotherapy. That puts you at greater risk. And they're like, oh, no, I'll be okay. And then, of course, a couple years later, the cancer comes back, and next thing you know, they're back on the product again. It's not the kind of product you take just for the situation. You take it every single day for the rest of your life. In fact, I'll tell you a funny story. I have in my backyard, I have four ducks back there. And the reason why I used to have chickens, I didn't like chickens. Ducks are more fun. You can do it with chickens or ducks, doesn't matter. But the thing is, I can make the product myself in my backyard. I did that because there was a time, no joke, there was a time, this product is so powerful that the FDA wanted to shut us down.
Sure.
Because distributors were making claims, and the company was very specific. You make a claim, you're done. They cut them off. They just terminate, you're terminated. This happened a lot back in the early days because the product was so powerful. People were making very bold claims. You can't do that. So I went through and got the patents, and I got the protocols, and I know how to make the product. If I have to, if something were to happen, I will have the product in my back. I'll be having my chicken eggs back, my duck eggs, and I can make the product myself.
I'll be over at your house.
Yeah, I know he lives
I know.
in the
In the whole
spring, so
neighborhood,
I'll be
too.
right over to.
Some of those eggs. That is so fascinating to me, like the
Yeah.
way it's made. I had no idea.
Yeah.
It's so simple. It really is.
Well,
In fact-
the comments here on Facebook are just blowing up, especially over the allergies, you know, because so many people. So are you literally saying things like peanut allergies and all kinds of
Yes.
different allergies,
all
everything?
all allergies.
Can you
That's
talk a
everything.
little tiny bit more? Now, Paul, I know we might be running late and I don't want to keep you too long, but remember what you said about how important the hormones are for women.
Yes.
Why? And you're saying that if they'll take the I26, then it'll help
Oh,
regulate?
yes.
Is that what it is?
Oh, yes. And I'm not going to tell the personal story I know, because I had to deal with this in a very bad way years ago when I was married. But anyway, so I know, I mean, and this was a clinical condition. It was called premenstrual dysphoric disorder, PMDDS.
Yes.
And it worked really well. It just took us a while to get it to work. In fact, she asked for me to provide for her this product in the divorce settlement. No, it's not going to happen. I told her attorney, no, she can pay for it herself.
Yeah.
It worked that well. She wouldn't go without it. But the thing is that, and we don't quite know how it works so well, but here's the thing. Remember I mentioned the messengers of the immune system and the brain and the endocrine system? Well, if people don't realize this, but some of the cytokine messengers are hormones. Some of the neurotransmitters are endocrine signaling units. And so they all are basically, we just talk about the immune system as one separate entity and the nervous system as another separate entity and the endocrine system as a separate thing. But now there are fields of neuroendoimmunology. They're combining all three because they realize some of these cytokines have multiple roles. And so we find that by normalizing immune activity, we can normalize hormonal activity and normalize neurotransmitters. I mean, you would not see the benefits we see across the board. People that are not responding to their medication for like depression type stuff are starting to respond better, taking lowering the medication, or just getting a response altogether. And we have many, many cases of people that, they're just, that are not clinically depressed, but just not, they're not happy about life.
Sure.
And they
There's a
get
lot
on
of
the
those people now.
program. Yeah, I know, especially these days, you're locked in your house all day long. And, I think it says it on here. I don't remember if they've changed the claim so many times. Let's see if it says it here. Yeah. No, it's not here. It's not on here anymore. It used to say a feeling of well-being. They took it off. Anyway, I mean, I've seen this happen so many times. I'll tell you a funny story. I was at the Santa Rita jail doing a little health booth there, and the police officers at a jail, they're high stress, and I had 3 police officers like all in a little huddle talking, and they all had just tried a sample. And the gal turns around and says to me, like, "How fast does this product work?" And I say, "Well, it depends." She goes, "I feel like a wave of calm has come across me and just fallen over me." It literally has those kind of benefits where you just feel like, wow, it just normalizes activity at the brain level, at the endocrine level, at the immune system level. It's hard to describe until you experience it yourself how well this product works. And that's why I say every man, woman, and child should be on this product every day. It's that important.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Another thing that you spoke a little bit about that I absolutely love that I don't even really think about, I think, because I don't know, I'm not around a lot of professional athletes anymore, but for athletes, those 3 things that it helps with, the strength, the recovery is, listen, I'm just back to the gym now, and I've started a really hard regimen. So I'm like, I'm going to need to double up on my I26 just for the
Shell's got 4
recovery.
scoops in the morning now.
I'm telling you, it's been crazy. So really that works.
Well, I cannot tell you how many times I get on the start line of a bike race and I've had my product and I just feel, what's the term? I call it heady. I just feel like I look down the start line, I kind of go, "Oh, you guys are going to hurt today." And I just put the hammer down and I just ride until these guys are just like, they're suffering. And they're like, and I'm like, "Why you guys, what's wrong with you guys?" And they're all like, "You're killing us, Glenn. You're killing us." I'm like going, "Sorry, it's a bike race."
Yeah.
It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, that's
So
so
awesome.
great. That is so great. So
Yeah.
I know one of the other questions that we got, and I'm not even sure. I want Paul to tell me that I can say that, that I can ask that question, because I don't want to say anything that I'm not supposed to say.
No, yeah, go ahead.
Right.
Okay, so if you have breast cancer that is caused by your hormones,
Correct.
is that something that we can, okay, I'm so glad that you knew that. I was like, wait, I didn't even know that was possible. I seriously had
Yeah.
no idea that that's how
Receptor
you
dependent. Yeah.
get that
Yeah.
right.
Okay. What it is that some breast cancers are basically the hormones themselves accentuate the effect of the breast cancer. Okay. So it's hormone dependent, essentially. So let me be very specific because I want to make sure I say this correctly. Okay. I26, you cannot use it directly for cancer because if it worked on cancer, it would be a drug and the FDA would have to regulate it as a drug. Okay. So here's the key thing. We know the immune system functioning properly can fight cancer. We know that. Okay. So we know that I26 can help the immune system. Okay. We also know that when a person takes chemotherapy agents tend to destroy rapidly dividing cells, which is the immune system. And so what tends to happen is that when you take chemotherapy, you destroy the immune system, you basically turn down the immune activity, and now the only thing fighting the cancer is the chemotherapy. So if you can quickly recover between chemotherapy treatments by getting your red blood cell count back up again and your white blood cell count back up again, then you have the immune system and the chemotherapy fighting cancer. So that's going to be a much more effective approach overall. So we discovered that what we do see without fail is that because the I26 supports the immune system, it recovers faster after a dose of chemotherapy, and you'll see the blood counts come back up again, so they're ready for the next dose. So that's important. Now, with regard to hormones, okay, once again, we don't know exactly how the hormones interact with the cancer itself. So sometimes they'll basically take hormone suppressing agents to turn down the level of hormones so the cancer doesn't grow as fast. But the bottom line is this: it's the immune system that fights cancer. If your immune system is strong and healthy, if you're taking the proper supplements, you're getting exercise, you're getting rest, your body's, is not fighting intestinal pathogens, essentially, you're going to fight cancer more effectively. And if you're taking chemotherapy, you're going to recover from the chemotherapy faster. That's the bottom line. So we cannot say, and I will not say, that I26s can be used against cancer, but I can say will help your immune system if you're undergoing chemotherapy. And that's kind of a gray area. Yeah. But that's the best way to describe it. Yeah. I want to be compliant with all the FDA regulations because it's important, because people will go out and say, because they had cancer and they got fantastic results with I26, they're going to say, oh, it helps my cancer. You can't say that. That's not legal. Right. But you can say it helped my immune system. When I was going through chemotherapy, it helped my immune system. And that's we can say. And that's important.
And we can also say, I think, that it helps with viruses.
Well, again, yeah, it helps the immune system. You have to be. It's the direct link
to fight.
I got in trouble actually with the Attorney General here in Colorado when I wrote the article about coronavirus, because I said that I26 will help with the post-inflammation cytokine storm, and she didn't like that.
Oh no! So we have to say it helps your immune system, and that's so true.
That's what we say. It. In fact, was it on the label on the can itself? I can't. The writing's too small. It says. I believe it says it here. They took that one off too. So the label has changed over the years. It used to say supports a healthy immune system. They don't say it anymore, but anyway, it does.
Yes. Yes. See why we love Dr. Winkle? Are you kidding me? Oh my gosh, I learned so much stuff.
That's good stuff.
Isn't Dr. Winkle super cool, Cheryl?
Yes.
Now, you're probably, so if you could just help us out, Dr. Winkle. So Cheryl and I, we have a little constant battle between the two of us on which one of us is cooler. And
it is me.
Yeah, that's what you thought before this call. But I'm going through this call. I'm like, this guy is different. Like, I've interviewed tons of people, and this guy is the best of the best. Like, what makes him so incredible? And then I realized the chair he's sitting on.
Oh, stop it. Oh, brother.
Yeah. So when you're sitting on the same chair as the top doctor over there, the top immune doctor in the world, you got it going on. And then he starts waving his hands around. And I noticed that he might keep track of his health with a special ring.
Oh, this right here?
Look at that. Look at that.
That's not an Oura ring. It's not an Oura ring, though.
Oh, it's not.
No, it's the key to my car.
No, that's even cooler yet.
Okay, that's super cool.
No, I have to explain because see, when I go to a bike race, now I'm going to tell you a little fun story because you can get any car you want to get if you go to a bike race. Because when we go to a bike race, we race our bikes. We don't carry our keys with us. We hide the keys on the rear tire, on someplace in the car, because so we can get back into our car after a bike race, right? Yes. Well, my car, my key is the ring. I go to my car, I tap my door pillar, and the car opens.
Oh, that is so cool. Now, but,
Oh my
but you got to
God.
lie a little bit here and tell it's an Aura ring so that I can
No,
tell Cheryl that.
no.
You're gonna laugh.
Ring.
I was gonna get an Orin, but I didn't. Where am I gonna put it?
Yeah,
No.
it looks exactly.
No,
I know it
see?
does.
Now, the next time I see Dr. Winkle, I'm going to have a ring that opens my car.
Yeah.
Well, okay, it has to be a Tesla though. 'Cause
Okay,
understand,
now,
Oh, wow.
there you go.
I'm buying a
Okay.
Tesla for sure now.
Wait, you have to buy one. I will never go back to gas. I have not been to a gas. I thought about this the other day. There was a line at the gas station. I thought I never go to gas stations anymore. In fact,
Do
I
you
haven't.
love it?
Oh, I absolutely. I mean, I haven't paid for anything electricity since I got the car because I have a solar panels on the roof. It charges the car.
Wow.
Wow.
I don't pay for
This
electricity,
guy is
and I
cool.
don't pay for the power. I drive the car around, and it doesn't cost me a penny.
That is incredible.
I open it with my ring.
That's like the
I
coolest-
love this
How
guy.
how many times have you tried to leave the house? You can't find your car keys.
Oh,
Cheryl,
times,
daily.
Okay, I have a tile on my keys, so I'm always ringing where are my keys? And it rings that never happens. I just run to the car, tap the car, and go.
Oh, I know I'm getting Cheryl for Christmas now.
that is a Tesla?
A Tesla with a ring.
Yeah, with the ring.
I would love it. This
Awesome,
has
awesome,
been
awesome.
so much fun, Dr. Winkle.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
my gosh,
Oh,
I
yeah.
loved it.
It's
So
fun,
awesome.
yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Oh, it's,
and,
it's my pleasure. I hope that people on this call have learned something.
Oh.
I'm sure you're going to get lots of questions because there are a lot of questions to ask. But like I said, I'll say it again. It's the most important development in nutritional science since the discovery of antibiotics. It really is that big. And every man, woman, and child should be on this product. It's such a cool thing that Longevity has it because there are so many people out there that know Longevity. They don't know the product yet. So we got to get the word out. We really do.
Yeah. Oh, we just did.
Oh,
We have
we will.
2.2 billion people on Facebook watching this right now. So
Sweet.
awesome,
Very
awesome,
good.
awesome. All right. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Welcome.
Thank
All right.
you.
Okay.
Bye.
God bless y'all.
Bye, everyone. Have a
Bye
great
now.
day.
See you.
Thank you.